What's up, everybody? I'm here with major winner and MVP of said major, Matthew Hotancold Stevens. Matthew, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Parker. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Now, it's been a couple weeks for you to be able to sit and digest this win. I'll go with the cliche question first. How did it feel moments after your team won the North American meet?
Honestly, for me, it was like kind of a weird feeling because, we won and that was great, but like, in my opinion, we were just like playing so well that I already wanted to play again type of thing. Like I was still in that zone of playing the game that it didn't really settle in for me like until, a day or two after.
Now, for you in particular, you've been playing for so long. This is your first major victory. How did family and friends, because you have some family in the Rainbow Six scene, how did family and friends react upon your victory?
Obviously, they were very happy for me. I've had some troubles with my parents in gaming before, but they've obviously seen like where I've came. So they were super happy for me. My phone was like destroyed after winning that, so many notifications from them. But yeah, it was awesome to see.
Now, your performance in particular was extremely good. You lived up to the hot aspect of the hot and cold name. Did you settle into a zone as the major went on? Because you said the team was playing so well, but you played really well too. Was that just you had a good weekend? Was the team built around strategies that allowed you to play that effectively? What was the reason?
Honestly, I think it was just like a confidence thing, like not in terms of like my own confidence, but like confidence coming from my team. Like everyone just felt like, this is our time to win, so we're gonna win type of thing. You heard it in our hot mics, I'm sure, like this ain't over yet after every game win. So it was just a mentality thing, honestly.
Now, the mentality to stick in it is something that not every team has. You didn't exactly have the strongest placing heading into the major. You narrowly escaped the qualifiers. You were the only team that had to qualify after Space Station, Oxygen, and TSM had already made it in. Was it a little bit of a surprise to you how well you were able to adapt to everything teams threw at you in the qualifiers and then the major? Or where did this sudden dominance come from after you did have a bit of difficulty getting to the major in the first place?
I will say it was a little bit of a surprise just because like going into the major, we had a lot of team talks about like what the issue was, and we kind of just like bounced around on like subjects. Also like scrims going into the major, they were good, but they weren't like the best, that we've ever had. So we were like a little iffy. But one thing that I think that did help us was we focused more on like objective-based stuff in scrims, like shot calling, pushing our shot callers like in the mid round instead of just like going through the flow of things, or playing with no ban so we could ban whatever we want against whatever opponent. Those type of things I think really like helped us.
Do you think going through the qualifiers helped? Because you got to play up against pretty stiff competition. The Sonics in particular gave you a good run for your money. You think that helped you adapt more and prepare yourselves more, given the fact that the other three teams didn't have to play as many matches?
I think it helped us, not in the sense that, they were hard and like they pushed us. I think that Sonics caught us at our worst and we still barely won against them. Like after that game, you could see it even from like the replays. Like Zach gave us some words and like really pushed us. Like shout out to Zach for like really pushing us and making everyone play and do the most to win. I think like after that game, it's kind of like what set it in stone for us to really push ourselves.
Now you have a coach, you have all this support staff around you. How hands-on and how important is somebody like Zach on the day-to-day morale, training, etc. of your team?
I mean, he's big because a lot of what Brandon does kind of comes through him. Obviously, they have like morning meetings every day, so I think it kind of gets pushed along through Brandon a lot of times. Early on, like Zach was, like there with us, every day. Now it's kind of like he's working along, the org stuff, more than team stuff, but just like having him almost like as a father figure kind of for, some of us, it like really pushes us and makes sure like, we're bringing our A game.
You mentioned a number of things that you worked on through scrims, through the qualifiers, then through the actual matches themselves. But if you had to pick one thing, and I'm going to ask you to pick one thing, what was it that separated you from the team that finished 4th, getting in through the qualifiers, to the team that won the major?
I think there was all types of things, like you said, but the one thing that I think helped us in the major was just everyone playing with full-on confidence. And you could see it in our gameplay, like, you and the other casters brought it up all the time, like how aggressive we were playing and like how like not scared we were to take fights. I think like that mentality, especially in our like defenses, like really brought it home.
Did that same level of confidence help elevate you over Space Station on Clubhouse? Because I think that there were some significant surprises in the major, but seeing the defending world champions, who most people would have pegged as the favorite heading into this major, go down, but not just go down, but do so on statistically their best map that they've been so dominant on for so long. And it was close, but in the end, you kind of made it look easy. Was that prep and that confidence, were those the difference makers on that map, or did you need special prep to take SSG down?
We didn't really do any special prep on that map for them. We just know like we're really good at that map. I think what happens, when teams go like undefeated on a certain map for a long time, they kind of put it on the back burner in terms of practice. Obviously they still play it, but it's not like you're like, reinventing things constantly on that map. So I think we've had the better clubhouse for a while now. We just haven't really gotten to play it against them.
That's quite the statement, because everybody loves to hold SSG's clubhouse as the golden standard, but could we see DZ enter that conversation now? Your other opponents were TSM. Now, TSM have seemed like a strong team. They had a good run at SI. They had a good run through stage 1. But both times you came up against them, you beat them. And it didn't really look too hard, especially the finals. A 3-0 scoreline is not something you see every day. Given that it was a rematch, was there a different mindset heading into that matchup? Were you worried about how in rematches, the first loser tends to win the rematch, which would have benefited TSM in this regard?
I was a little worried about that because that's happened to us, at other tournaments where we'll destroy a team and then rematch them, and now it's like they barely beat us, or it's like we barely beat them. So that was definitely a worry. I think that's what kind of pushed us to go to different maps against them the second time. Our map pool has like gotten so much better, so we weren't really worried about going to like any maps against them, and we knew their like strong pick, or so they think, is Oregon. So I mean that was like a easy counter strat against them.
I like how you say, or so they think, because you proved that, well, maybe Oregon isn't quite their strongest map, at least when they're going head to head against you. That matchup, probably to me, the most memorable moment were the 2 clutches that happened back to back on Cafe Dostoevsky. Now, TSM has you on the ropes. You win 2 rounds that you maybe didn't have any business of winning based off of some inhuman plays and some minor missteps by TSM. How pivotal do you think those 2 rounds were in changing the tide of the matchup?
Those rounds were, at least, I think my round was very big because it was like, I think we're 2-4 at the start. That was the first defensive round. And going down like 2-5 on defense, like that's that's very hard. I think we're a team that like it wouldn't really like matter to us, we'd still be playing. But I think the clutches to them, from what I've heard, they said that it didn't really affect them. But I mean, they don't know how like everyone's feeling on their team, so it had to affect some of them. I mean, losing 2 1v3s or whatever it was, like back to back, is very, very hard to come back from.
Heartbreaking for sure for the TSM fans. Now, you emerged from the major as the undisputed best team in North America, so let's look ahead to stage 2. There have been a couple roster changes done on some of the lower ranked teams after stage 1. And given what we've seen out of Space Station, Oxygen, and TSM at the major, what are your thoughts on the landscape for the US division over the next stage? Do you think there's going to be any big shakeups, any real surprises? Do you think the top 4 are still going to remain at the top?
I think the top four probably will remain the top four, at least for this next half. Obviously there could be a shakeup with Sonics. I think Sonics is definitely, the fifth team. To me, they haven't proven like anything to be above that. They had one good game against us, and they still didn't win that one. So they didn't really get to play the other top three teams, as far as I remember. So you don't really know like how good they actually are yet. But I think the lower teams, in my opinion, I think Disrupt's not going to do that well. They dropped Nyx, and I'm not saying this just because he's my cousin, but if you look at their team, like they don't really have any strong leadership roles. So I think that's going to make them struggle. Nyx has his problems. Trust me, I've dealt with them. But every team has to have a leader, like a strong leader voice in their team. And I think that's really going to hurt them coming into next season.
Now, Stage 2 is fast approaching. You just moved from Texas to Las Vegas. You're in the new DZ compound, and we can see some of it in the background. I think this actually might be the most of it that people have seen so far, because you haven't done a big reveal just yet. However, you've had some significant downtime. What have you been focusing on as a player, and what has the team been focusing on, and what will they be focusing on to ensure that you keep up the success from the major onward through Stage 2?
Well, I think this off time has kind of been a little bit of a struggle for us because, we've been out of like having computers for like a week or two. Like we just got in this house, like 5 days ago or something. And, that was the first time in like a week and a half that we got into play Siege. So right now we just kind of been like going overboard on practice. We've doing like 2-a-day scrims, like dry running every day with the 2-a-day scrims. So we're kind of just like pushing ourselves to get back into the swing of things, coming up with new strats with, the new ops, Ace and Lucy. Brandon's working every day for that. So I think we'll be looking good going into Stage 2.
How do you think Ace and Malusi are going to impact the meta? You think we're going to see both of them quite a lot? Are they going to be insta-banned?
I don't think they'll be banned every game. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but they definitely are overpowered, in my opinion. Malusi is going to be ran almost every round, I would think, and Ace the same, depending on the map. There are some maps where Ace is just like not really that good. Obviously he's not that good with hatches. So like maps like Clubhouse or Basement, he probably won't be ran that much. But yeah, he makes some maps like unplayable, like Coastline and stuff like that.
That'll be an interesting one to watch, because Coastline usually gets Hibana banned out as the single hard breacher, and then everybody just decides to go soft breach heavy. So something to definitely keep our eyes on. Well, that's it for my questions. I appreciate you joining us. Always great to hear from you in particular, but also always nice to have a champion on our show. Congratulations again, and all the best in Stage 2.
Thank you, Parker. Have a good one.